Hey ladies, I'm Aisha Watkins, founder of Women of Project Management, and this is the Women of Project Management podcast, where I have candid conversations with all my favorite women inside the Women of Project Management membership in audio. Please don't forget to subscribe and review everywhere you listen to podcasts. I'm Aisha Watkins. I'm the founder of Women of Project Management, and today we're going to be talking about project management made simple. Before we start our conversation with Alexis, I'm going to read you her amazing bio, and then we will dig into the discussion. Alexis Allen is an IT project manager and scrum master with over 8 years experience leading IT infrastructure, web application, and new software implementation projects within the aerospace IT, enterprise content management, and entertainment industries. Alexis earned her Bachelor's of Science in Business Information Management from the University of California, Irvine. She has also acquired the Project Management Professional, her PMP certification, and she is a certified Agile practitioner, both offered through the Project Management Institute. Alexis leads with a passion for project management, a strong inclination for organization, and results-oriented processes. She believes in empowering her teams to do their best work by coaching on Scrum best practices and continuous improvements. Alexis is the creator of Project Management Made Simple, a platform for simplifying the concepts of project management to be applied to any industry. Welcome, Alexis. It's so good to have you. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I cannot wait for everyone to hear about, just talking about your experience because I have questions of my own, and then also just talking about project management made simple because I think for some, it can be intimidating. You can be, a veteran in your career, and then there can still be certain projects that's very intimidating. So I'm really curious to hear it. But before we even start that and jump in, just tell us a little bit more about your journey. I know we heard a whole bunch of
Yeah.
amazing things, but was all that strategic? Did you always have a plan to be in project management? Did you stumble
Mhm.
upon it, or how did that happen?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I actually did not know that project management existed as a career
Mhm.
until my second internship that I was doing within the aerospace company that I was working for. It's funny though, because it's something that aligns very much with my personality. I think a lot of us growing up had to go through group projects, right? Who hasn't
Mhm.
had to deal with that? And most, if not all the time, I found that I was the person leading the projects. Some of that was probably a control factor and knowing that it was a
Me
group
too.
grade, and wanting
Mhm.
to ensure it just got done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't find out about it actually as a career path until I did my second internship. I did two internships, one internship with the same aerospace company, and then I came back, and that next time they rotated me through a project management
Nice.
rotation. And so
Yeah.
that's where I got to learn what project management was, what project management processes are, what a PMO was.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And so thankfully, once I graduated, I was given an offer
Mhm.
to pretty much do project management as a start of my career. And that's what I got started in. And I've been doing that since then for about 8 years now.
Nice. I love
Yeah.
it. It's funny how, as soon as at least my experience and a lot of women that I talk to, it's like once you do, no matter how you find the industry,
Mhm.
once you start getting to that role, it just like all makes sense. It's like, oh, this is
Yes,
exactly my personality. You look back and you're like, oh, I was always the person leading that project or taking the lead on this or that.
hmm,
So it's funny. I say we're all a certain type of people. We're like, the people that others go to for those solutions or for some type of guidance, but it's a good
exactly.
sign. We're all in good company, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good. So okay, so what does a project manager do in the aerospace industry? Like,
Hmm.
what is that? What does that
Yeah.
look like?
Yeah, that's another good question because when I was actually going through an intern, or not interning, but interviewing for different internships, I
Hmm.
actually went through a program called Inroads. So hopefully some viewers are familiar with Inroads. It's a
Yeah,
really
yeah.
great program.
Hmm.
And so through that program, I interviewed with an array of companies. And one of those companies was an aerospace company. And it's funny enough, my dad actually retired from the same
Oh,
aerospace company. He
wow.
was an engineer though. So when
Oh,
I thought of
wow.
that company, I thought only of engineers. I didn't think
Yeah.
of anything else. I didn't have experience in the business world. So I didn't know that there was other functions in a company.
Yeah.
And so when I was hired in as a project manager, I was working in their IT division of things, and I was working on a lot of infrastructure projects where
Hmm.
we were procuring software and hardware that were going to be used for the enterprise. And I
Okay.
did that for about 4 years. And I shifted over to the what I call the business support side of things,
Okay.
where I would work on projects that we were developing applications or adding
Mm.
features to applications that
Okay.
either our airline customers would use or our internal
Okay.
customers would use.
I
Yeah,
was gonna ask, what's the
yeah,
product? Is it rockets? Like, what are we
yeah.
doing here? I mean, that's cool too, because that's all important. I mean, you can't have
Yeah,
anything, I would think, the software messing up on planes or anything like that. So,
exactly.
oh wow, that's really interesting. That is really,
Yeah.
I swear, we're everywhere. Project managers are
We are.
everywhere.
We
Yeah.
are. Every industry, we're
Yeah.
there.
So it looks like basically like an IT role, but your
Mhm.
product is different. Um,
Exactly.
and there's probably a lot more repercussions if there's any defects.
Hmm. Exactly.
Okay, that's really cool. That
Yeah.
is really, really cool. So that leads me to my next question that almost is kind of answered with that. But why was it so important to obtain your PMP certification? You're even
Yeah.
Agile, you have your Agile certification as well. So those are two
Yeah.
really amazing, certifications that complements the project management industry. So what made you get those certifications?
Yeah, originally my plan for myself, because probably like most project managers, we have a plan for ourselves. That's just it's
Uh-huh.
part of our nature.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. We
I
can't help
originally
it.
want right, exactly. It's just natural, right? That's what makes us so good at our jobs.
Uh-huh.
I explored going the route of acquiring my MBA.
Okay.
And it was something that I just thought out of college I was going to do. But
Mhm.
then once I got into project management,
Mhm.
I felt like a PMP and then a few years later, getting the ACP was
Yeah.
going to be more applicable to what I was doing at the time.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not against MBAs, but for what
No,
I
no,
was
no.
doing at the time, it was something that I felt like getting my PMP is going to show that I know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's also going to ensure that I have the skill set to move across different industries, because
Mhm.
honestly I didn't want to stay in the aerospace IT world. It's
Yeah.
it's it's an
You
older
evolve.
world,
Yeah, you
and it's
evolve.
just like I
Yeah.
wanted something different long term for myself. So I
Yeah.
felt like getting my PMP would be able to showcase, have that on my resume, so I
Yeah.
can showcase when I'm going to these different industries, hey, regardless of industry, I can do this.
Right. Right.
And then the ACP was really more so speaking towards the agile side of things, because
Mhm.
I've found that at least when I got my PMP, I think it was in 2016,
Mhm.
a lot of the words and just the verbiage in the PMBOK guide is
Mhm.
the waterfall methodology.
Yeah. Mhm.
And a lot of software projects, if not all of the ones I've been on, use the agile
Yeah.
methodology.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's not a completely different way of thinking. I think it's still helpful to have the PMP knowledge,
Yeah.
but having the ACP on top of that certainly helped me to have a better understanding and a shift in
Yeah.
mindset towards what I was seeing on a day-to-day
Yeah.
basis.
And I bet it made you even more well-rounded too, because you
Yes.
have both those perspectives. You could speak that language on both sides, and
Mhm.
those worlds do marry, but they are different. So
Yeah.
I think that was smart. I think that's also because people think of a lot of different type of certifications, and there's a lot of certifications that will complement a project manager in their career. But
Mhm.
then again, it's like, what's the reason for, what do you want to use the different certifications for? And then there's different ways like that too, where it could just make you well-rounded to have both, not either or. So
Yeah,
I like
exactly.
that. I like that. So with that, what made you start your platform, Project Management Made Simple?
So I started my platform. I don't think I know I haven't actually mentioned this during this interview, but along with doing project management on a day-to-day basis, I love talking about it. I
Mm-hmm.
also love, teaching about it as well. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I was at my first job, I was able to leverage kind of those things that I like to do in terms of facilitating a workshop, a 3-day project management fundamentals workshop. I did that twice. I did a
Mm-hmm.
scope management workshop, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but I haven't found that there's opportunities for me to do that in the jobs that I've been in since then.
Yeah.
And so, with us all being in this quarantine, I felt like this would be the perfect time for
Mm-hmm.
me to create my platform. I've been creating YouTube videos for 7 years now on an
Yeah.
entirely different YouTube channel. So it's
Yeah.
something that I'm familiar with and
Mm-hmm.
loved doing. And so I just felt like in this capacity of creating, and in the case of my platform, I'm actually answering questions around project management,
Yeah.
hopefully simplifying the concepts because it can be kind of confusing. And so
Yeah.
being able to create my platform allowed me to blend my love for project management and
Mm-hmm.
also be able to share it in a way where I can still be teaching on it and
Yeah. And
just
it feels
presenting
like
about it.
bite size. That's what I like about it. It's
Yeah.
like bite size. So it
Yes.
doesn't make it feel like it's so overwhelming. Like you still get the lesson, you still get the content that you need, but it doesn't feel
Mhm.
like, textbook. It doesn't feel like overwhelming. It just feels like, okay, I get that. I can understand that. I
Yeah.
can implement that. So, okay,
Thank
good, good, good.
you.
I
Thank you.
love
That's
it.
my goal. So
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, and you already know. We've already discussed. So for the women, I know you have a YouTube channel, and it's really helpful. And that, but we want to obviously help amplify your voice. So we'll definitely not just have this entire interview in the membership site, but we'll also have your videos too as a supplement for people to review. Because I just think it'll be helpful for people to get those. I don't care what phase of your career you're in. If you're in the
Yeah.
beginning or even you've been doing this for a while, we could always use some tips and some tricks to just approach things different ways, and learn
Hmm.
new different things all the time. So good, good.
Exactly.
So for the project Made Simple, I know that you are good about providing that content for people,
Hmm.
but what is the best advice that you would give someone who might be intimidated by a project?
Yeah. Ooh, I have to go back a few years to when I was first, staffed on a project as a project manager, as the sole
Yeah,
project manager.
yeah,
And I can definitely say there was a lot of intimidation around if I was going to miss something because this was before I got my PMP. If you're
yeah.
looking to get your PMP, you have to have experience before you get
Mm-hmm.
it, unlike
Mm-hmm.
some certifications where you get the certification and then you get your experience.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So with that, it was just very nerve-wracking in terms of if I was going to miss something. And I
Mm-hmm.
think my go-to thing, if anything is complicated, project or not, is to break it down into a checklist. So
Yeah.
what are the to treat it almost like a project for yourself to understand what
Mm-hmm.
are the things that I am confused by, what are
Mm-hmm.
the things that I know, and then what are the things that I maybe need to, learn about even further. And
Mm-hmm.
so I found that creating checklists around trying to think back to then, but I can give you the advice from what I know right now.
Yeah.
Creating checklists around the 5 process groups,
Mm-hmm.
around all of the knowledge areas,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, okay, I'm at the start of the project, I'm in the initiating process group of things. What do I need to do here?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So going through each one of those, where if I'm in executing, what do I need to do here? So
Yeah.
really just breaking it down. I think in a way that you can better see what you're confused by maybe, and then what are the
Mm-hmm.
things that you do feel like you understand. And then also having a mentor too, like
Yeah.
having someone that you can bounce ideas off of,
Mm-hmm.
even if they're not formally a project manager, just someone who maybe knows the industry, knows the types of
Yeah.
project that you're working on, will
Mm-hmm.
be so helpful. I
Yeah. Oh
found that to
yeah.
be
Oh
probably the
yeah.
biggest thing in helping
Yeah.
me was having a mentor,
Yeah.
that kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't believe in. I'm not the type of person who I have to make my own mistakes. I'm like, no, I'll
Yeah.
learn from your lessons learned, and I'll take that and I'll appreciate it and I'll move forward. One
Right.
thing that you said that was kind of funny to me was when you were talking a little earlier. You were saying that we're in COVID, we're in the middle of a pandemic, so you decide to go ahead and build out the platform for your business.
Yeah.
And I thought
Yeah.
only project managers think like that. Like, you know what? We're in a pandemic. Let me capitalize on this time and build a whole
Exactly.
business. But I love it
Exactly.
because it's still your skills, right? The
Hmm.
platform, that's just the the building, just to get everybody, just to get the exposure, right? To listen to the rest of this conversation, join us inside the Women of Project Management membership at womenofpm.com. Thanks for listening.